Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk. So y'all see the topic, but before I get into the topic, I want to talk about something because everybody looks at my moniker and they be like, "Oh, Deacon Mac," and they hear a lot of my content and they realize that I am spiritually based in a lot of my conversation. And people will ask me, "You a deacon for real? Or you a preacher for real?" Or, no, I'm not. Um, I just use that moniker to as a descriptive term because I serve the people. And if you know anything about the duties of a deacon's job in the ministry is to serve the people, serve the congregation. And so that's why I chose that moniker. Have I been a deacon before? Yeah, I was a deacon when I was in ministry, and that's a former part of my life. But you know, the reason I tell people no, I'm not a minister or a pastor or preacher, nothing like that, because the church is far too PC for me. I couldn't see myself speaking from that position because they become far too politically correct in the church. And last time I checked, there was not supposed to be a mixture of church and state. And by the church operating with a politically correct mindset, this shows you how church and state are mixed, and they've been mixed for a long time. We always see the politicians up in our church whenever election time come around because they're trying to garner the vote of that community, and they know that the community is governed usually through the church. But I say all that to say that no, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor, none of those titles that are associated with the church. I'm a brother that's seeking truth and knowledge and understanding and wisdom, and I do have a strong foundation in God. And but all of my understanding and all of my knowledge is not Bible wisdom. I study outside of that. But, I say all that to say that, that word deacon, don't take it to heart and don't try to hold me to any standards that you place on that word. All right, let me get into what my real topic is about. Pretty much almost forgot about I pretty much almost forgot about what my topic was about. Um, but there's a lot of times where we come into situations and we find ourselves, you know, um, lost like I am right now because I just drew a blank on my whole entire topic that I was about to get on here and talk about. But let me talk about this PC thing for a minute until my topic pops back into my head. But yeah, everybody's so concerned about being politically correct, and they will curtail their sermons in a way that they don't offend people because they don't want to lose members and they don't want to uh, stop somebody who could potentially join their church from joining because they say something against that person's lifestyle or against what this person is out here operating in. And a lot of times we got to have the integrity to be able to still give them what God said. It's a hard thing, it's a hard task. And if you're not able to rightly do that, then you're doing the people a great disservice. And so that's why I would never put myself in that position in a church. That's just, yeah, I'm not going to play around with people's lives like that. And some people feel like, it's okay to play with people's lives in that way, man. And it's not. I'm going to be straight up with you about whatever. I'm going to be honest with you about whatever. And that's just that. Man, what is the topic that I was about to talk about on here? I drew a blank. I can't even look and see what my What my title to this was, so I was just gonna freestyle this morning. This is funny. I just drew a blank on everything that I was gonna talk about, man. And I mean, it was gonna be pretty good, I thought. But apparently that ain't the message that God wanted me to talk about. So, he erased my memory of what I was gonna talk about, and I'm just here freestyling right now. So let's talk about something. What's coming up in my mind to talk about right now? Um, well, what's going on in the White House since we were on politics? Well, more and more stuff is coming out about Donald Trump. More stuff is coming out, not only about him, but about Mark Meadows, about Giuliani, and all of these players who try to overthrow this government. What is America going to do about that? I don't know. But, whatever's done has to be done decisively, definitively, and not this beating around the bush stuff that the United States have done for all these years. Because I'm telling you now, I feel, this is my own personal opinion, but I feel like the United States is headed to third world country status in the next several years. I won't put a number on it, but in the next several years, we are heading to third world status by the way that we're doing things, by the way that we're living, um, and by the way that our government is governing. So, if you want to see some change in the United States of America, really, I call on every single person who has voted, who has the right to vote, who is eligible to vote, to not lift one finger to cast one single ballot within the United States for any office at all. This is my charge to the people. I challenge every single American to really, truly take a stand and send a message to the government that they are not the power in this country. We are the ones that make this a nation. We are the ones that make this economy run. We are the ones who are keeping this country afloat by our tenacity, by our ingenuity, by our resilience. And it's not being honored at all by these politicians because they lie to get where they're getting, and they never fulfill their obligations to we the people. If we were to look at the Constitution as a contract, who would be in breach of the contract? Who breached the contract first? That's my question. Let's do a look back in history from the time that the Constitution was created, this contract between the people and the government, and let's see who breached this contract first. Who is in violation of breaching the contract? And I guarantee you it'll be the government. And so with that being said, being that the contract has been breached, in any court, they will say that that contract is null and void because it's been breached by somebody. And at that point, you do not have to adhere to anything in that contract, and you are not held to the stipulations of that contract. And so with that being the case with every contract throughout law, why is the Constitution treated any different? I'm not going to hold myself to the standards of the Constitution. I am not going to follow the laws and guidelines of the Constitution because this contract has been breached by the government a long time ago. So in the court of law, the Constitution is null and void. It's absolutely null and void. And we have every legal right to not follow that contract anymore. We're not held, we're not obligated to that contract anymore because of the breach. Well, when was it breached? You should ask. That's a great question. When was the contract breached? Well, you go through and you look at all of the articles of the Constitution, you look at all of the amendments, and you line it up with our history. And you're going to begin to see so many different breaches in the Constitution that this should have been null and void before it even really became the document that we hail it and give it honor for today. It was breached from day one because everything in there only pointed to one particular people, but it was not worded like that. Making a human being 1/5 of a person just so you would be able to use them for your voting and your election, that in itself was a violation of that contract and made it null and void. There's wording within the Constitution that makes it null and void. And so that contract does not have to be adhered to, nor should you allow them to use it against you in the court of law with their law principles. They love to talk about the principle of law, and they'll throw the Constitution up in your face anytime it serves their purpose. But then when you start to break down how it is a contract between the people and the government, and this contract has been breached and you no longer live under the stipulations or the guidelines of this contract, then people want to call you unpatriotic and you don't love America and things like that. And you have to be able to rightly divide what the Constitution is saying. You have to be able to interpret what the Constitution has said, and you have to be able to know for a fact and stand on the fact that it has been breached. It is no longer a feasible contract that we should abide by at all. And I will always speak against the Constitution because they've made a mockery of it. And when I say they, I mean the government, our politicians, our lawmakers. They've all made a mockery of the Constitution. And I've been going on here for 12 minutes and I still haven't remembered what the title of this is supposed to be. So I'm just going to keep on rocking, man, and I'll come back later once I get off here and see what the actual topic was supposed to be. I hate drawing a blank like that, but that's just how life is, man. I'm getting older. I've done a lot of things to damage my body, to damage my brain. And for me to be able to operate at this level based on the things that I've taken my body and my mind through is just amazing in itself. So, I don't be too hard on myself for having brain farts and things of that nature. It just comes with the territory. But, I'm saying this in just as a thought, just as something that popped into my head and in my heart right now. But I'm about to get off here and find out what my real topic is so I can come back and talk about that, man. So, yeah, this is your boy D-Mac, man. Y'all heard what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.